Have you ever wondered what's really going on behind the scenes at your favorite cafe or that busy restaurant downtown? Well, there's a really good chance it's a company called Toast. Their tech is quietly becoming the engine for pretty much everywhere we eat.
You've definitely seen this logo, right? It's on payment terminals everywhere. The name itself, Toast, is just perfect. It's warm, it's simple, it feels like a good meal. And that friendly little logo has popped up all over the place, becoming a real symbol for how tech is changing the food game. So that brings up the big question. What is Toast really? I mean, beyond that little device with the clever logo. How in the world did this one company become so essential for so many restaurants?
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to look at the huge problem Toast set out to fix. We'll follow their journey from just an app to a massive public company. We'll break down how they make their money, peek at the tech they're using, see just how huge they've gotten, and then we'll get a little taste of what's next in food tech.
Okay, first things first. To really get why Toast is such a big deal, you have to understand just how messy and chaotic things used to be for restaurants.
And this really says it all. I mean, just imagine trying to run a restaurant where your ordering system doesn't talk to your payment system, which doesn't talk to your delivery app, which has nothing to do with your payroll. It was a total nightmare, a symphony of chaos. What Toast did, and this was the brilliant part, was step in and say, hey, what if this was all one thing? They created one single integrated platform to bring it all together.
And that idea leads us right into their origin story. Because, they didn't just show up on day one with this massive, all-encompassing plan. It was an evolution. So back in the early 2010s, Toast was just a simple little payments app. But the founders saw pretty quickly the payments were just the tip of the iceberg. The real pain was everywhere else. So they made a huge pivot and expanded into a full restaurant operating system. It worked. By 2021, they went public, and then they started buying up other companies, like XtraChef for managing food costs and Sling for employee scheduling. Every single move was about becoming that one-stop shop for absolutely everything a restaurant needs. So how does having this all-in-one platform actually make money? Well, it's a pretty brilliant, multi-layered recipe. Okay, to really get their business, you have to know this term, vertical SaaS. So instead of trying to make software for everybody, they went deep, like laser-focused on just one industry, restaurants. This lets them build a product that is perfectly tuned to the unique rhythm of a restaurant, from the kitchen to the front door. And that is a huge competitive edge. Now, this is where you can really see the genius of their business model. It's like a 4-course meal of revenue. First, restaurants pay a subscription fee. Then Toast takes a tiny little slice of every single payment. Then they also sell all the hardware, the terminals, the handhelds, you name it. And finally, they're always offering new add-ons, like marketing tools or payroll services. It all adds up to create this incredibly sticky platform. Once a restaurant is running on Toast, it is really, really hard to switch to something else. All right, let's head into the kitchen, so to speak, and take a look at the technology that makes this whole thing run so smoothly.
The tech behind Toast is actually pretty sophisticated. The devices you see in the restaurants, they run on Android, which makes them super familiar and easy to use. But behind the scenes, the whole thing is built on what's called a microservices architecture. Just think of it like a team of chefs, where each one is an expert on a specific dish. This lets Toast update parts of its system without shutting down the whole kitchen. And it all runs in the cloud on Amazon Web Services, so it's super reliable and can scale up like crazy.
And this quote from their own engineering team really nails it. Instead of one giant, clunky piece of software, Toast is hundreds of tiny, independent services all working together. Remember that team of chefs? This is it in action. Each one is in charge of a single task. And this approach is what gives them the flexibility to keep innovating and growing without everything breaking. And all that flexible, scalable technology has led to some just mind-blowing growth. The proof, as they say, is definitely in the pudding. So let's look at the numbers. So at the start of 2025, Toast was already powering about 140,000 restaurant locations. To put that into perspective for you, that's more locations than McDonald's has in the entire world. Just let that sink in. But they were just getting started. Only 6 months later, they'd added another 16,000 locations. That's over 156,000 total. That's like adding a new restaurant to the platform every 20 minutes. The speed is just incredible. And this chart right here shows it's not a fluke. It's not a one-time spike. They have been consistently growing at over 20% year after year after year. This is how you build a company that completely dominates some market. And of course, all those locations add up to some serious dough. By late 2025, Toast blew past $2 billion. That's billion with a B, dollars in annual recurring revenue.
That's just a huge testament to how powerful their model is and how well they understand this industry.
So that brings us to the future. Where is all this going? What's the main course that Toast is cooking up next?
Well, the next big thing on the menu is artificial intelligence. They're rolling out something called Toast IQ, which is basically an AI assistant for restaurant owners. Imagine having something that can predict how many steaks you're going to sell on a Friday night, or automatically suggest a price change, or even just order more supplies when you're running low. That is the kind of power we're talking about.
And that leaves us with one last, really interesting question to think about. As these incredible operating systems like Toast become the standard, and as AI gets baked into every single part of the business, what's going to be the next essential ingredient that really separates a good restaurant from a truly great one? It's definitely something to chew on.